Hey nerds, Sages here. So this is going to be a video that's kind of more fun and interesting because I was asked a certain question and I wanted to touch upon that a bit more. Alright, so before we begin though, I do have to mention the contest in the description. $350 gift cards for your or's pleasure, anniversaries coming up, all that fun stuff. But also, if you happen to enter it, you don't have to worry about the operating system or region you're in, things like that. Just as long as you leave your email or your Twitter, you will, of course, have a chance to win, and then I'll be contacting you for it. So, best of luck to those who enter. It's in the description, yada, yada, yada. Alright, so, I was asked about healers and how I feel about them. Well, healers have quickly come from where they were before, where not much use, to now being incredibly overpowered with the right setup. Yeah, you may be asking, wait, what? But, or just maybe double-taking, because I'm sure some of you may not have, noticed this, but I've noticed it. I've seen it happen in Arena. I've seen several of these units pop up, and they are terrifying for multiple reasons. But, Elise here is not done. You may be seeing the build here and thinking, well, it seems that, there's Pain, there's Savage Blow, but she's not completely done. The thing that we need to do is we need to refine Pain. I also need to get rid of Recover, but, anyways, or at least improve Recover so it gets rid of its ability to, add special countdown charge, which is not good. Still, nonetheless, just not done because, well, technically, you can do this on any healer as long as you can get Pain Plus. Pain Plus comes from Lucius or Azama, I believe it is, but it's a 5-star exclusive skill for both of them. So if you're unlucky enough, or I guess lucky enough to get Lucius, have a 5-star version of him, then you can probably draw that from him. But as you can see, what you want to do here is you want to refine Pain. Because Pain can get the Dazzling Staff effect, where basically, when this unit attacks, the enemy cannot counterattack, and this is where the key truly lies to creating some truly terrifying abilities. Just to give you an example, okay? So, I'm going to give you some maps, and I'm going to run you through it, but first, let me just show you what else you need. Savage Blow 3. Pretty obvious as to why, but we'll... when we show it in the map, you'll get to see a much more visual representation of it. Also, from that, well, for Savage Blow, the normal skill, easiest option, I believe, is Camilla. Camilla has it at 4 stars, easy enough to get if you happen to have one. From there, Savage Blow 3 as a seal is essential as well. Actually, it's not completely essential, but if you happen to have it, and happen to have it leveled up to 3, even better. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my team, which you can see here, features Priscilla, Sigurd, Gunthra, and of course, Performing Arts Azura, and we're going to go run a map. I'm thinking the Oliver map since it's available, and it has enemies in a decent cluster to give you an example of what happens when you have all of these things working in tandem. And it's something that I'm sure some of you may have run into Arena already, but it's something that I honestly think is nasty and probably one of the most broken things I've seen in this game lately. So I'm gonna see if I can't do this correctly, and we'll go and head on in. Alright, so as you can see, we're on Oliver's map. We're actually on Lunatic just to make it a little bit simpler to give you an idea of how well this will go without actually having to really create a pro strat that would probably be insane. But so what exactly does this build do? Well, I'm going to make sure I show you as much as I possibly can. As you can see, here's my Priscilla. I also have Azura ready to go for what we're about to do, which is going to be kind of fun. Sigurd is over here just kind of being the last bastion of hope here to make sure that nothing bad goes wrong. And we're going to attack Oliver with Priscilla, and then we're going to see the fun and carnage that will come from it. So, with all of these stacking up into the craziness that it is, and of course my Priscilla has a bit more, you can see that now, and then just, stacking it up, Oliver's gonna die, and then of course it's going to spread out that damage again. Now, a reminder to a lot of people, okay? That is a lot of damage to be doing in the process of such little time. That is 24 damage each, and to give you an example, And while these characters typically have a lot of, inflated HP and things like that, most units, especially those in Arena, they typically don't have more than 50 health. Unless you get into the upper echelons. Not only that, but this is true damage. This is damage that cannot be avoided. This is damage that, to give you an example, if you were to run against an armor emblem team, one that runs wards, something that might be incredibly resistant, it's going to do that 24 damage every tick. And it does not matter if the unit has something like, say, something like a distant counter ability, something that would be, disadvantage to your unit or something like that. It's still not going to do, it's still just not going to do any damage. They're not going to be able to fight back, is essentially what I'm trying to say here. And, even with a unit like this right over here with this red mage here, it's still going to go over the wall and do the damage. See? And this is something that is truly terrifying in a lot of Arena builds right now. I've run into a few of them in Arena Assault that just continue to be insane with how that is. And it's honestly one of the more broken abilities to just be able to, one, not deal with any counter attack. You don't have to deal with any. And if you happen to have a Elise at all, who, can really push up to the higher amounts of damage when it comes to attack, she can actually kill outright certain units, even if it isn't, the best damage. Not only that, but you need to remember that Pain, and also, by the way, I did not get Oliver from Lunatic right away. I need to actually go and do the normal mode too, but you can kind of see that that is something that I've been working on. But when it comes to these kinds of builds, when it comes to these kinds of characters that I really find interesting, Savage Blow stacking like this with Pain Plus, you could technically even do this with certain, other abilities. I believe ninjas can work this out pretty well. I'm pretty sure if you happen to have characters like Jafar, you can technically do something very similar, but the one thing that really matters here is that Pain Plus with the Dazzling Staff effect can essentially wipe out entire teams with that and a Dancer, because it's 24 true damage every single turn. It's AoE, and it can be monstrous. So if you happen to have her, and or a healer who can do this, it's basically 48 damage spread out amongst the other team. Which, if you happen to have a team that is, much, Oliver's map is not exactly the best example for that, because again, I'm using a Cavalier unit. But since the trenches are there, they won't be able to move too much. But now that you have the access to, say, like infantry and certain things like that, they could probably make a lot more use out of it. You could probably easily position a healer with Pain Plus and all of these other, abilities here to essentially wipe out a mass amount of HP from every unit. Without really having to blink an eye. And since the AI tends to, at least right now with a lot of the maps clumped together, again, just to show you an example, we're going to go back to Oliver's Lunatic map, and then I'm going to go and do the easy mode when I can. But it was really very simple to just get, Sigurd there. In fact, if I could probably do it later, I would probably be up for trying this with, Infernal, but I've heard several examples of people using this with Infernal. But, it's a crazy thing. It definitely can work. I'm just going to move Sigurd in there, and, it's one of the more busted abilities of recent that I can honestly think of when it comes to any sort of ability in the game right now. It's outrageous, it's insane, and it's honestly very terrifying.
Of course.
And it's something that I think a lot of people need to pay more attention to, because I ran into one character who basically, I have to give you an example as well, okay? I also include Miracle on these units as well. That way, if, since typically characters like Elise and things like that are fairly speedy, she can actually activate this, and she will be a nuisance to the other team for a long time. And, again, watch. Bam, bam, 14, 14, 24 damage to every unit in there. And again, bam, bam. Oliver's gonna die here, But I figured this was the most and probably the easiest way to show this off without having to, you know, try and get lucky with Arena, because this is probably one of the better examples of a map that I can do. And of course, since that Lance Cavalier, while he does have a, you know, Sapphire Lance, Sigurd still deals with that fairly well. It's just, it's a monstrosity in so many ways, and it continues to show, you know, show me that healers can really put on a display when they need to. And, you know, while you may not have, you know, if you don't have the Savage Blow seal, you'll still do a fairly good amount. I believe it's 17 amounts of damage, apparently. 17 damage or so when you get to that point. And it's just, it blows my mind. It really does. So, yeah, that's basically what I've been working on when it comes to healers. And right now, Priscilla's going to be there. I might try running a whole group of just absolute staff units and just running Savage Blow on all of them with a pain modifier and, you know, just a refined pain and all this other fun stuff. And of course, Elise will lead the charge with Savage Blow 6 at this point. 24 damage completely. That's outrageous. So, a lot of you were wondering if healers are meta now. They certainly can be. They can obliterate a lot of units without having to be countered, which just absolutely astounds me. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to go get my 3-star Oliver now. Get this done. Do it with my, I'm pretty sure at this point I can probably use Priscilla. Let's try this out, actually, real quick. Just because, why not?
I trust you.
No, not automatic battles. Swap spaces. Let's just see how this works. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Hopefully she can do things alright. Let's see. Yeah, she'll be fine. Unless that axe unit can absolutely obliterate her, which might be a possibility. I mean, the one thing about this, though, is that you do need to have, you know, your character does need to be the initiating unit. The one unit that will be the one thing that causes the most, you know. Savage Blow does not activate unless you are initiating, so. And bam! All done. And Oliver, you're gonna die now too. Ah, God, it's something else. Now, I was a little bit fearful about trying this with Infernal, but it might be fun to try it out a little bit later. Now, yep, I can't believe this is actually happening. But yeah, so there you go. That's the new meta. That's probably gonna be a meta, at least for some people. Running that on a horse emblem team now is actually quite terrifying. You know, before it, I used to think maybe it wasn't the best idea. Maybe Priscilla, you know, couldn't really do much, but now she definitely can, and that is something I'm really excited about trying. So now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go and try and get a little bit more done, and hopefully get some more refining stones. Catch you nerds later.